Have you ever reached the end of a day feeling busy, but wondering whether you actually moved your digital business forward? Have you ever found yourself trapped in an endless cycle of creating content, responding to emails, updating websites, managing social media, and handling customer inquiries, only to discover there is little time left for growth, innovation, or strategy? And welcome to Digital Marketing Secrets, folks. At its core, leadership is the integration of how we think, act, and live across business, work, and life. And in the digital world, adaptive leadership shows up in our ability to adjust, innovate, and lead effectively in a rapidly changing environment. Now, to expand this conversation a little bit further, on Mondays, our discussions turn to the Listening Heart series, which focuses on spiritual leadership in our daily lives. And on Wednesdays, we turn our attention to performance leadership in traditional workplaces. Now, what gives me the right to talk about all these things? Well, it really follows my life experiences, from 6 years in a seminary under the guidance of Benedictine monks, to 18 years in government at the executive level, to owning my own consulting and training business for over 40 years, and finally to transitioning my business to the digital world in the past several years. Hello, folks. I'm Richard Fontanie, and I'll be your host today. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. And if you're returning, a heartfelt welcome back. Now, before I begin, if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And thank you for doing so. And remember, we are all called to lead in some way, even if we don't have a formal leadership title. Today, we'll explore the power of delegation in digital marketing, chasing purpose and not just profit. Now, if you enjoy practical discussions about leadership, digital business, and personal growth, please subscribe and join our growing community. And thank you for doing so. This week's focus is on delegation and empowerment. It really means intentionally creating space for growth by trusting others with responsibility while focusing your own energy on what matters most. One of the common challenges facing digital entrepreneurs today is the temptation to do everything themselves. The digital world makes this possible. You can create your own website, you can manage your own emails and campaigns, you can write your own blog posts, design your own graphics, schedule your own social media, edit your own videos, answer customer questions, and you can build sales funnels. And finally, you can monitor analytics and manage online advertising. Yes, you can do all these things. The problem is that you cannot do them as well over time. Adaptive leadership requires us to recognize when yesterday's approach is limiting tomorrow's growth. Delegation is essential because digital businesses operate in dynamic environments. Technology changes, platforms evolve, customer expectations shift, competition intensifies. Leaders who try to manage every detail often become overwhelmed by complexity, and leaders who learn to delegate strategically create the capacity for growth. Now, this topic is essential to adaptive leadership because adaptability requires focus. If we are consumed by routine tasks, we have little time left for innovation. If we are trapped in daily operations, we have limited capacity for strategic thinking. And if we do everything ourselves, we often become the greatest obstacle to our own growth. The goal is not simply to build a profitable business. It is to build a purposeful business that creates value, serves people, and remains sustainable over time. Now let's explore 5 practical strategies to help digital entrepreneurs delegate effectively while remaining focused on their purpose. Strategy 1. Identify your highest value activities. Many entrepreneurs spend too much time on low-value activities. A useful question is, which activities have the greatest impact on your business? For some, it may be creating content. For others, it may be coaching clients, product development, strategic partnerships, or community building. Once you identify your highest value activities, then protect them. Everything else is a candidate for delegation, automation, or simplification. Adaptive leaders understand that not all tasks carry equal value. They invest their energy where it yields the greatest return. Strategy 2. Start small and delegate gradually. One reason entrepreneurs resist delegation is fear. They worry about cost, quality, and losing control. The solution is not immediate large-scale delegation. The solution is gradual delegation. Begin with one repetitive task. Perhaps it is a social media scheduling, or email management, data entry, or appointment scheduling. So start small and build confidence and develop the systems necessary to carry them out. Learn from experience, and then expand delegation to a skill that improves through practice. Strategy 3. Create systems before you delegate. One of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make is delegating confusion. If a task exists only in your head, it becomes difficult for someone else to perform consistently. Effective delegation requires documentation. It requires checklists, templates, standard operating procedures, and workflows. The clearer your systems, the easier it is for others to contribute effectively. Systems reduce reliance on memory and increase consistency. Adaptive leaders build processes that support growth. Strategy number 4. Focus on outcomes and not methods. Now, many entrepreneurs become frustrated because delegated work is completed differently than they would have done themselves. Different does not necessarily mean wrong. When delegating, focus on outcomes. What results do you want? What standards must be met? And what deadline applies? Allow flexibility in how the work is completed whenever possible. Empowerment grows when people are trusted to apply their creativity and expertise. Digital businesses thrive when innovation is encouraged rather than stifled. And strategy number 5, build relationships and not transactions. Delegation is ultimately about people. Whether you work with freelancers, virtual assistants, contractors, partners, or employees, your relationships matter. Now, speaking about virtual assistants, I have access to a program that you may find interesting. It's a program you don't have to do anything with once it's set up. And if you want to check it out, I have provided a link below under Virtual Assistant. People perform better when they feel respected. They contribute more when they understand the purpose. They stay engaged when their work is meaningful. Purpose-driven leadership builds stronger digital communities, teams, and businesses. Pursuing purpose does not eliminate profit. And in fact, purpose often strengthens profitability because trust becomes the foundation for sustainable growth. Let me share a story. Several years ago, I spoke with an entrepreneur who operated an online business. She handled everything personally: content creation, website updates, customer service, marketing campaigns, bookkeeping, and social media. All flowed through her. Not only that, she was holding a full-time job at the same time. Initially, she viewed this as dedication, and eventually it exhausted her. Growth stalled, opportunities were missed, stress increased, and after our coaching session, she decided to delegate several administrative responsibilities. She hired a part-time assistant. She documented processes, clarified expectations, and focused her energy on content creation and client relationships. Within months, the business became more responsive, more organized, and more profitable. And most importantly, she discovered the purpose that had inspired her to begin the business in the first place began to bear fruit for her. The lesson is simple. Delegation created capacity. Capacity created focus. Focus created growth. Growth reinforced purpose. The same principle applies to virtually, and pardon the pun, every digital business. If your goal is long-term success, you must learn to distinguish between activities that require your direct involvement and activities that can be successfully performed by others. Adaptive leaders continually ask, what should I continue doing? What should I improve? What should I stop doing? What should I delegate? And those questions help create clarity in a rapidly changing environment. Now, as we move toward our conclusion, let me offer a practical next step action plans. First, make a list of all the activities you perform during a typical week. Second, identify which activities require your unique expertise. Third, identify which activities could be delegated, automated, or simplified. Fourth, select one task to delegate within the next 30 days. And fifth, develop a simple process that supports successful delegation. And then evaluate the results and continue building from there. Now, if you're a beginner, do not feel discouraged. Every successful entrepreneur begins somewhere. No one starts with perfect systems. No one starts with a completed growth. And no one starts with a completed team. Growth occurs one step at a time. And the important thing is to begin. Remember that delegation is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of maturity. It reflects a willingness to focus on purpose rather than ego. It demonstrates confidence in others. It creates opportunities for growth. And it expands your ability to serve. And most importantly, it helps ensure that your business remain sustainable over the long term. Because in digital marketing, leadership is what builds trust, and trust builds everything. So remember, sustainable excellence is built in rhythms and not marathons. Now, if this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and refer to a friend. And thank you for doing so. Oh, and there's just one other thing, the learning lens. It's something I've added to each podcast, and let me know what you think about it. Today's key insight: delegation is not about doing less work. It is about focusing on the work that creates the greatest value while empowering others to contribute meaningfully. What seemed to have worked well? Well, we connected delegation directly to adaptive leadership and explored practical strategies that digital entrepreneurs can implement immediately. And here's a further point to consider. Examine whether your current workload reflects purposeful leadership or simply habitual activity. And ask yourself this question: what is the one reoccurring task you can delegate, automate, or simplify within the next 30 days? And finally, what's the key takeaway for this product or for this podcast? Well, from my perspective, purpose-driven delegation creates the focus, flexibility, and capacity needed for sustainable digital business growth. I'm Richard Fontanie, and we'll see you next Friday when we explore a new topic for adaptive leadership: redefining success in digital marketing. I hope you can join us. Bye for now.